Hello everybody, my name is Alan from Sauber-Lab, and in this video I will tell one of the problems that I have. Around 2 years ago I got a really old computer that was in my garage, and that I decided to build a backup server. So I get that computer, install OpenMediaVal, and that get all hard drives or some hard drives that I have put in this computer and bring it to my parents' house. This computer, the main idea is once a week they will turn on, mostly on Fridays, and that they will receive all the backup, and after a couple of hours they will turn off, and that will keep off until next week and continue on every week by week, and that in this way, if something happens with my data in my house, I still have all the backup in my parents' house. The only problem for it is that my parents started to use more and more the computer. So they now have a printer, and that printer scans documentation, and they wanted to scan all the documentation in a specific folder in the network. Also, they have each one a laptop, and they wanted to start to work in a Word, and that's go for another laptop and show for my father, oh, check what I'm doing here. Or sometimes they wanted to work kind of together, or they wanted to do something in one computer and go in another computer. And then this server starts to be on and on longer and longer. The only problem that it's quite old server, and that is quite slow, and it's really power hungry. So they use a lot of energy to do almost nothing. Only standby, I think that they use around 8 watts, and that's if you start to load it, you use more. Also, because it's quite old, it's not worth to get more RAM memory, to get more applications and other things. So the first idea that I have is get my Synology NAS that I have in my house, move for my parents' house, and get another Synology NAS for me, and that everything is sorted. But the problem that with this new announcement that Synology NAS did, that from 2025 systems you need to buy all licensed hard drive. Well, it means that only official Synology NAS or Synology hard drives will work through the new Synology NAS, and that this one put me really down, because I like to know what's the life cycle of my hard drive, how much that they will give me, and when I need to replace it. But now I cannot do it, and apparently it's only a software related, it's not hardware related. So this one put me a little bit off, and then I started to look for other options. And when I started to look for other options, and that this Ugreen NAS is a new system on NAS that promises a lot of things. So then, before I start to do any purchasing, and I didn't purchase yet, I start to search a little bit more others alternative and which one that potential will fit better for me. So in this video, we're gonna compare a little bit about Synology NAS and Ugreen, which one that's better, which one that potential will work better, and what's the positive and negative side for each one. So if you like this idea and want to learn a little bit more about it, we're gonna show in this video. But first of all, don't forget to leave your like, consider subscribe for the channel if you're not subscribed yet, and let's understand a little bit more about it. So before I start to buy any device, I wanted to do a small comparison, which one that could be better, which is the positive side, which is negative side, and what they are common. So when I go to choose which device that I'm gonna buy, at least I have a little bit more knowledge, and maybe this knowledge that I'm looking for will give you as well. So first thing, if you come here, here's the website for Ugreen. Here the website of Ugreen, they say what is NAS, what's the deal, and all the future. They give different options. They have less options than Synology NAS. Let's say that they have 6 or 7 options. Compared for Synology NAS, they have 20, 30 different options of a system. All of those, it's kind of tower. They don't have any enterprise option that's a sliding rack. So everything gets more focused for normal users, not so much for enterprise at this stage. I'll not be surprised that in the future they will focus a little bit more for enterprise, but they still work on this Synology NAS or looking for different markets. And that's they give a lot of solution. They give what is home NAS, creators, and different options. So if I go here all top and shop now, you're gonna see all the options that Ugreen offer. So they will give the basic 2 bay, they will give you the 4-bay normal ones, they will give you the 4-bay plus, they will give you the Ugreen that it's only for SSDs, you give the 6-bay and 8-bay. You don't have anything else, and that's they vary between 263 up to 1,100 pounds. But let's say for our comparison, we're gonna focus a little bit more for this, because what we want a 4-bay NAS, exactly the same way that I have a DS920 Plus. So if I look, I will get a 925 Plus or something like it. So we're gonna look exactly the same option to be pair. If I come here and put learn more, they'll give the price, it's around 509 pounds. But let's go for Amazon to be exactly the same price. If I'm gonna buy for Synology, I will buy for Amazon. If I go to Ugreen, I will buy for Amazon. So if I come here, Synology NAS, the 923 Plus, I don't think that it's already available in the market, the 925, so they just released, but we're gonna compare it. I believe that will be a little bit higher price. Anyway, the 923 Plus is around 561, and if I go to the Ugreen, they are 509. So it's around 40 pounds different, 50 pounds different. It's not so much, but you can see now the difference. So if I go for a specification for Synology NAS, first thing they use the Ryzen V1500B, and if I go for here and use the CPU, they use the Golden processor or Intel Pentium Gold processor 85005. And if I open the benchmark, if I look for the Synology NAS CPU, they have around 4,500 in the score benchmark. And if I go for the other CPU for Ugreen, they have around 9,200, almost double than the capacity compared for the Ugreen. It's around double the capacity for Synology NAS. The power consumption will be similar, 15 and maximum 55. If I go for 16, maximum 25. Okay, they are a little bit lower power consumption, but it's not so much difference if you think that one have double power. But let's focus a little bit more for my application. I want to use for Plex, I want to use for video transcode, and this one will give a little bit different because they have more power, more juice to give me. But not only it, if I come here, the comparison between both, and if I go here, they'll give both comparisons. I go down and hit the main key feature that will give me. For the Intel CPU, they have integrated GPU. It means that if I want to use transcode, they use the GPU. What will give more speeds? They will transcode fast and will have a better performance compared for a GPU. If I go for the Synology NAS GPU, or if I look for the Synology NAS CPU, they have zero GPU. They don't have an option for me to do a transcode using GPU, what will use only the CPU power. So for my application, the Ugreen have a better CPU, a better GPU, or they don't have GPU at all. Also, if I go here and look for my ports or port layout for file transfer, principally, they will give you one port with 10 GB and one port of 2.5. If I go for my Synology NAS, the only ports that they will give you will be the RJ45 based on 2.5 GHz or gigabytes per second, much less. If you're only gonna have a 2.5, yes, will not make any difference for your setup, but if you wanted to have a more speed system that will transfer files faster, it will make a lot of difference, because in this case you need to add and use this expansion lot for your 10 GB card, compared for this one they already come with a 10 GB card. And also the RAM memory, this is a big difference. Ugreen use the DDR5 with high speeds. If I go for my Synology NAS, they will use DDR4. Also, as a standard, they already give you 4 GB, and that you can increase up to 32 GB. And for Ugreen, they give me at least 8 GB, what you can expand up to 64. So it's pretty much double speeds and double capacity. You're gonna feel it for normal application. maybe not, but if you wanted to create virtual machines and you wanted to put more RAM memory in this, yes. If you wanted to have a lot of Docker containers and run different applications for it, yes. If you wanted to do different applications, yes, will make a lot of difference for have more RAM memory or fast RAM memory. The rest pretty much is the same. If you look for the amount of storage that you have, you can have a 4 bays, 4 hard drives. You can have a 2 MMV that will use as a read and write cache. You can put a really fast MMV, and that's both will copy all the data. You need to have 2 to make a read and write, because they will copy all the information, and that's after some time they will unload that information for your hard drives. And if you need to load or keep some file in the cache, they will copy directly to your NVMe, and that's allowed you to edit directly there or use the files directly there. Both have exactly the same option. So in pretty much the big difference between both is the CPU, GPU, RAM memory, and the ports that you're gonna have, because network attached, you make a lot of difference principally for your file transfer, your network option. And the rest of the ports is really similar. You can have Thunderbolts, you can have others options. Both are similar between themselves. Now we're gonna focus a little bit more for US and how is the hardware that is working, how is the software, and what gives you the best option. So to understand a little bit more, I asked for ChatGPT to help me, and that I created this word. Here on my page, I have basically a word with a comparison between the Synology NAS, Ugreen NAS, and that we can understand a little bit more about it. If I look, both systems, it's use their own system. One uses the Synology DSM, and other use the Ugreen NAS, but the Ugreen NAS is based on Debian for the Pro versions. You have a web UI for both options. You can customize the extension, a little bit more limited for customization for extension in the Ugreen, but Synology NAS gives more options for you. Remote access, one of the big difference between both is this quick connect. This quick connect will make a lot of difference, because you don't need to set up Cloudflare, you don't need to set up absolutely nothing. It's only use the quick connect, and that they will allow you to connect external. Both have VPNs, and if you wanted to use principally Telescale, will make a lot of sense, and that will work quite well. Also, you have Docker as a main application for apps, so you can install any kind of app that you want. So this reason that we say that app stores, Synology have much more apps. It's basically 25 years in the market compared for Ugreen only 2 years, so they have more time to develop the system, and you know that this system, it's really good. This reason people decided to buy this system with the hardware. Synology have a really stabilized system for a long time, and Ugreen started to work on this, started to develop more, started to improve things, and they just released a little bit short time ago. Both have basically Docker support. Both have a virtualization, so you can create virtual machines. The difference that Ugreen will have more RAM memory, better CPU, so you can make a better virtual machines compared for basically Synology NAS. And here packaging, you can have a repository for Synology NAS, but it's quite limited for the Ugreen. Backup, both have a connection for different cloud systems, both have options for time machines, and both have options for backup for computers with different apps, of course. Synology NAS will work with the Synology Activity Backup, and Ugreen will have some backup tools. Both will work quite well. Now security, Synology NAS have long-term security, so if I go here, Synology NAS have multi-user, ACL, domain, jobs, you can connect for different external system. Ugreen is more limited, but if you're using with Open MediaVault, this Ugreen will be really common. Also, both have two-factor authentication, what is basically protection for any kind of system that connect online and have external access. And here you have less audit logs. Ugreen NAS is a recent product, so they don't have so much checks, so many validations, but you didn't have any hack invasion so far. So I don't know if because they don't have so much market, or they are quite new in the market. Also, if I go for media sharing, both have their own application. I believe that Ugreen starts to invest a little bit more for AI, so what you can install different packagings. Synology NAS have a stabilized system that work, have some limitations already shown in one of the videos that if you wanted to put a map, they will not give you. Ugreen, I didn't use specifically this option, so I cannot comment about it. Both have similar MIDI stream, Plex, video stations, and continue on. For Ugreen, you have the basics, Plex, Jellyfin and others. Also, you can install everything in the Docker, so if all the applications that I use have option in the Docker, you can use it. And for file sharing, Ugreen have a little bit limited, but you will have the main ones. We'll have Samba, NFS, and WebDev. And for Synology have more options that if you need some specific option, they will give you. For the iFixture, Synology NAS have currently using for Synology Photos, for drives and other things. And for Ugreen, they start to develop. I believe that they are trying to launch a new option that is AI NAS that will get large language models. They will get better for AIs and properly hardware to make AI dedicate. I don't think that those will be able to do the ones that I show, but the one that will be released in the end of the year potentially will be a little bit more robust. Also, for share albums, sorting data, they still work to do, but they are improving time by time. License side, you can have lots of different applications without any requirement for license for Ugreen, but for Synology NAS, if you want to have more VMs or VMs machines, you need to pay a license. If you want to have more cameras, I think that's the free is 2 cameras. After 3 or 4, you need to pay a license. If you want to have Office, if you want to have email or more emails, you need to pay a license for everything that you want to add on for Synology NAS. Ugreen, it's everything for free. You buy the device, you receive the US, have the upgrades, and that's all the system is there for free for you. Open source friendly. Ugreen, it's more open source, more friendly for it. Synology NAS is not so open for these options. You can have the Docker container and that's it. In other words, Synology NAS have a long time in the market. They have around 25 years. They have a lots of different applications. If I go to download, I can have a different clients, different systems. If I go for packaging, I have a lots of different packagings that you can download for different applications, different systems, different things that you can do. If you wanted to go for download utilities, look like Synology Assistant, Drive, Client, Station, Photo, Backup, you have, check how many that you have. If I go for my basically here and try to go for download, and I go to the app download, you have pretty much one app, and that's it. If I go a little bit more specific for download center, and I go to choose, let's say, a model that I was looking for 80 plus, and go to apps, you'll have much less apps. This because Synology NAS is long in the market, have more traceabilities, have more informations, but Ugreen started to offer a better hardware, a better system for the same price. Also, one of the things that is really interesting for Ugreen, if you don't like the own OS and you don't want to keep it, you can always install any OS that you want. So basically, you buy an out-of-box system, and then if you want to change and use OpenMediaVault, or you want to use TrueNAS, or you want to use Unraid, you can do it. Synology NAS don't give you this option. You need to stick with Synology NAS US or DSM, and that's it. Of course, DSM work quite well, so if someone decided to go for a Synology NAS, it's because they are key to keep the OS, not only to have the hardware. Pretty much the hardware is not the latest one. If you look 2025, the R5 you can buy in a normal computer, but you cannot buy in a NAS. A CPU, you can buy a better CPU in the market, but you cannot buy a NAS. So far I didn't decide which option that I go. I don't know if I go for Synology NAS again and try to use the own hard drives and get all hard drives that I have out, or if I go for Ugreen and risk with this new system that is quite powerful, or I go to a main or myself build computer, what we're gonna explore in the next video. So if I go to decide at the moment in between Synology NAS and Ugreen, potentially I'll go to Ugreen because you have better hardware, you have more processor informations. Of course, the applications that I'm gonna use, most of them it's based on Docker, so will work anyway for doesn't matter what system that I use. They'll have a little bit restriction for some applications that I could have in Synology NAS and will not be the same Ugreen, but they all still available for me in all the options in the Docker. So in this way we arrive at the end of the video. If you guys think that it was interesting and you like this video, so don't forget to leave your like, consider subscribe for the channel if you're not subscribed, and see you next time.